Welcome, everybody, to the D1Softball Women's College World Series live preview show. We are thrilled to be back with you all again. I can't believe it's still technically mayhem because it's the end of the month. It'll get into June, of course, as we go on with the Women's College World Series, but it has come to the culmination in Oklahoma City. Jenna Becerra here with you with our In the Circle co-host, part of D1Softball, Eric Lopez and Victor Anderson. Guys, just like quick reactions on how you feel right now, knowing, oh my goodness, we are starting another Women's College World Series tomorrow.
The word for Eric is jet lagged. I know that for a fact for all the traveling he's been doing since the postseason has started.
Listen, I just want Mother Nature to cooperate here. We don't need this sloppy weather and rain here, folks. All right, let's get it clean here coming the next few days.
That is completely fair, and I would agree because we did see some delays in having to move things around today with practices for the teams who are getting ready to start competing tomorrow. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that we don't have that problem. Eric and I are both in Oklahoma City right now, so we did get to participate in Media Day today and attend all the press conferences with all the teams, hear from coaches, players, etc. And we have already started some of our on-site coverage. So check out, if you haven't already, everything on D1Softball. That's our handle across our social media channels. Hopefully you know that if you're tuning in right now on one of those. So, gentlemen, really quickly, for anyone who might be new, welcome, first off. But secondly, how about you introduce yourselves and just all that you do for the sport?
Eric, go ahead and start, man.
I'm Eric Lopez. I do the In the Circle podcast with Victor. I do play-by-play broadcast throughout the year at UCF, which I've learned many people watch because they keep coming up to me now since I've been at OKC, since I've been in LA, which is fun. But yeah, covering the sport and looking forward to this is my second World Series I've covered. First under the D1Softball umbrella, but second overall, and looking forward to that coverage.
I am Victor Anderson. Without the wig, without the pomp and circumstance that you have come to know from me within the circle on D1Softball, and I am the play-by-play voice of the Atlantic Sun champion Stetson Hatters, and looking forward to interacting with a lot of you in the chat this evening. And let's just say Eric and I have some nice coverage already lined up from his time in Oklahoma City, but we'll let y'all follow our socials to find out what's going on with that.
And just to let everybody know, for In the Circle socials, where can they find you?
At In the Circle SB for all socials. Email us inthecirclesb@gmail.com. You want to follow us on Twitter/X, our respective handles are on your screens, so you can follow us, tag us, and harass us about picks we're likely going to get wrong within the next 60 minutes.
Completely fair. Yes. And hello, everyone. Jenna Becerra here with you. Obviously, colleagues with these two fine gents. I am the host of the D1Softball podcast, and I oversee all of our digital efforts for D1Softball.com. And then I also am a broadcaster as well. And you may have heard of my other softball podcast, Believe in Softball with Believe Network as well, which both of these two have been on as guests before.
But never together.
Not together, separately. You had your own moments. Yeah.
I've already learned here in the multiple days here in Oklahoma City that everybody likes Jenna more. Rightfully so. Like, everybody's like, oh, Jenna, you get to interview me. The good. And then they're much more relieved when I approach the interview. They're like, yeah, okay, fine.
No comment. No, I'm just kidding.
I plead the fifth.
No, but it has been fun. It has been fun for sure already. Just getting to see all 8 teams, I think, which is what's going to be the most exciting. I think we can all agree in terms of what day one looks like. So why don't we just quickly too, we will have a couple of guests that come and join us that we'll get to talk with also and preview everything. But before we do that, just a recap on how things work. So in terms of just the NCAA tournament as a whole, for anyone who's new, this is a refresh for anybody who is familiar. But we started with 64 teams, whittled down to 16 after regionals, and in supers, the 8 that won out of those sites have moved on to the Women's College World Series. There are 2 4-team brackets, the top half of the bracket, the bottom half of the bracket. So teams compete in a double elimination format here in the Women's College World Series. And the winner of each bracket essentially advances to the championship series, which is a best of 3 format. So we will see that unfold throughout the week. And in terms of what the bracket itself looks like. You don't have to, zoom in necessarily because we'll zoom in for you as we go throughout this. But for those taking a look, this is what it looks like to start. Talked about the two sides of the bracket: Texas Tech and Mississippi State for game 1 of the day, Tennessee and Texas game 2. That's the top half of the bracket. Bottom half consists of Alabama and UCLA for game 3, and then Arkansas and Nebraska for the nightcap. We are going to see all 8 teams tomorrow, 4 games being played, and this is how it's going to start. So for the scheduling, this is what it looks like for all those who want to tune in. First of all, if you're in OKC, it's the best. So we hope you are at the ballpark at Devon Park with us. But this is what it looks like for those 4 games. You can take a look at the channels, mostly on ESPN and ESPN2, which is so cool. And it'll be back-to-back games for us on day 1. So with that being said, guys, what is your favorite part of day 1 of the Women's College World Series?
I think it's a stacked day 1. Like I really can't think of a day that this is this stacked when you consider you've got Tegan Cavan potentially going against Carlin Pickett in day 1, the second game of the day, Tennessee and Texas. You've got UCLA in that historic offense, the greatest offense in maybe the history of the sport, going against Alabama. I mean, it just sounds good. Alabama, UCLA, Brisky, maybe arguably the best pitcher in the sport right now against that offense. That's tremendous. And then you got Arkansas and Nebraska. You got Arkansas here for the first time ever with Courtney Deifel going against Rhonda Revelle. Nebraska hasn't been here since 2013. You've got Jordy Fromm here. And then you got Nyjah here as well with Texas Tech. I mean, this is a very marquee stars. You got Megan Grant, Woolery, and I think it's a sense of wide openness with this World Series, where I think you could come up with some different combinations for the Champ Series and not be surprised.
I think for me, it's going to be how do the 2 first-time teams in Oklahoma City fare on that opening game. You got Mississippi State, after stunning the softball world, except everyone in Starkville, shutting out Oklahoma in game 3 to make it here for the first time ever, playing against Texas Tech, who a lot of people feel will be one of the favorites to win it all. Then you got Arkansas, who's been knocking on the door for so long. They finally make it. And then all they have to do in their first time out is take on the player of the year and Jordy Fromm and a scorching hot Nebraska team. That's the biggest team I'm looking forward to. And also, a secondary note, considering who I'll be having on our guest very shortly, which teams' pitchers who are not their aces can come up with clutch innings in critical games, especially those teams that don't have a solidified number 1.
All great points, and we're going to dig into it all a little bit more, but you alluded to it already, Victor. We do have our first guest ready to join us now of the evening, and I don't really think she needs an introduction, but we'll give her a slight one anyway. I mean, national champion Danielle Laurie, ESPN analyst, bronze Olympic medalist, all of the things, so much experience in our game. Danielle, thank you for joining us to talk through everything World Series.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
And first of all, what are you doing in OKC? What all are you doing for ESPN? What are you going to be up to while you're here?
Yeah, I'm waiting we had a production meeting. We went out for dinner. So I'm going to be doing the studio stuff with Courtney Lyle. She's going to be the host. And then Madison Shipman will be my partner in crime. And then once the 3-game set comes on, we're going to do the alternate broadcast. Maddie and I, and then Amanda Scarborough is going to join, which is sometimes always my favorite because you can be a little bit more unfiltered.
Yeah.
So, when you're calling games, you're a little bit more mindful, but when you just kind of sometimes get some raw reactions in the alternate broadcast. So that's always fun. It's almost just like we're sitting up together on a couch, just hanging, talking shop, talking softball, the best way to do it.
You unfiltered? No way.
I mean, I filter most times, but at times we can unfilter.
Yeah. No, I just appreciate the authenticity always.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and I got to see it a few weeks ago in person there as you're calling the Big 12 championship game. And
You
that's kind of
did.
what I want to ask you about that because we both saw Texas Tech in person get shut out by Arizona State that day. Since then, we had to see them come that miraculous comeback against Ole Miss in their own regional, the wild series against Florida in the Supers. What are you expecting from them here in Oklahoma City here for the World Series?
I feel like it's a team that has been woken up. When you look at kind of Texas Tech and the run that they've been able to have, there was a lot of question marks going into the postseason. And I know Jerry Glasgow had made it known, like, is this a team that could potentially go and win a national championship, or this is a team that could maybe lose in a regional? And I think that Ole Miss game, like, just lit this fire. Like, what they did in that game was incredible. I don't know how Ole Miss didn't make a pitching change. And I feel okay saying that. Like, they left that gal out there and just giving up 8 runs. Like, do I still think Texas Tech would have had a chance to win 2 on Sunday? Hell yes, I do. But that game ignited this different passion in that team that obviously you saw in a very tough Gainesville Super Regional. And I just feel like they're a team that, they're all kind of banding together at the right time. They almost have that villain. I know they've been asked a lot of questions about that, and they almost have that kind of villain mentality a little bit. And listen, when you got a chip on your shoulder, I feel like it's dangerous. So it's theirs to lose. Like, when you think of Texas Tech and you think of just the talent and all the things, to me, it's a national championship or bust with who they have.
And they're going to take on a team that is, they say, an underdog is still a dog of Mississippi State, who knocked off Oklahoma in Norman in Game 3 to make it to the Super Region, to the World Series for the first time.
Yeah.
What do you want to? How does Mississippi State continue their momentum with Samantha Ricketts and this phenomenal job that she and Brittany and the pitching staff and the rest of the team have done to get themselves here against Texas Tech?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to carry that over. They went to the big dog's house and they beat them 2 out of 3 games. Like, that was incredible for them. There was no sense of like, we don't belong. It was almost the opposite. And when you don't have anything to lose in that environment, when you play that way, it's apparent. And Mississippi State did. To me, like, I look at their staff as a whole and I chalk them up as having one of the best staffs in the country, how they're all uniquely different. And then when you add in the addition of Delaney Everett and what she was able to do, that was incredible, right? I knew she threw a couple innings in Game 1 and Game 2, but Game 3, getting the ball, this season on the line, and for her to do what she did, like, that does make them dangerous. Playing for the first time in Oklahoma City in the morning game, like, the jitters, there's a lot. They're going to have to get that out quick because this is a Texas Tech team that knows what it's like to play here. So I think for them, it's going to be important to carry what they kind of got from that Oklahoma and know that probably some people are going to be rooting against them, but also some people are rooting for them because their story is pretty awesome. Like, I love Sam Ricketts. I love that there is just some solid 4-year seniors that have not waived from Mississippi State. They believe in that program. And I love that coaching staff. I just cannot talk enough about Ricketts and, Coach Bratton. And then you have, Taryn Mowat, who I play against at Arizona. Like, what she's been able to do with that staff, getting those transfers, those mid-major kids, and turning them into some of the best pitchers in the country is very incredible. So hats off to Mississippi State because they have been a real treat to follow this year.
Well, can't talk pitching with you without bringing up Tennessee and what their staff is and what you were able to see calling that super regional as well in Knoxville. Carlin Pickens, of course, but Sage Margeco, Aaron Newer, just the complete sort of staff that they have. What stood out to you?
Well, that Tennessee, it was number 1, the weather was so great for us. Number 2, my play-by-play went to Tennessee. There was just such we got to finish and other people were just starting their super regional. So it was such a cool experience to be able to go back there. The last time her and I went was a regional back when Mariah Masson and Oregon State upset Tennessee. But what I really loved about the Tennessee pitching staff was that, Game 1, seeing Carlin Pickens set the tone, right? She is that high leverage pitcher. She loves those moments. She wants to put her team on her back, but the beauty is she doesn't have to, because I think the performance on Saturday by Sage Margeco was incredible, right? Aaron Newer started. She kind of got herself in a pickle, a couple of hit by pitches, and then she hit by batters, and brought in Sage. But for Sage to do that to that Georgia offense, who was on a roll, was such a statement. And for her to be able to go to up to down to all quadrants, listen, we know that Pickens is the velo queen, right? Tony said it in the in-game interview. He goes, man, it's tough to hit 75, 76, and we don't face this consistently. And you could tell. And if Pickens' changeup is working, I mean, there is no one tougher to hit in the country. If it is not working, the velo, people find a way to hit it. But adding Marjetko and what she's been able to do, that 1-2 punch to me, I think is the fiercest. But I don't know if the sticks for Tennessee are going to show up. That was my question mark for Supers, which was awesome to see, right? Like you have a couple, Sophia Knight home run. She had a 2-run blast on Saturday, or not Saturday. Shoot, we started Thursday, Friday. But Sophia Knight hadn't had a home run on the season, right? So it's like, I don't know if the Tennessee offense necessarily scares me, but their pitching staff does. And if they can find ways to score runs, I think that they're dangerous. And to carry over kind of that feel of Oklahoma City last year. I mean, they made it to the semifinals against Texas. We had Appendix G, the size 12 foot, and Megan Grant didn't touch home plate, like all the things. So for them to carry over that momentum, I think is going to be cool to see. And listen, I root for Pickens. She's been so fun to watch over her career and everything she's been able to do. So when she's in the circle, she always gives them a chance to win.
Danielle, this has a potential to be a World Series dominated by pitchers. I mean, you look at the field here. You mentioned the Tennessee staff. You the Texas Tech 1-2 punch there. You've got Tegan Kavan, who to me is the best big game pitcher we have, and nobody brings it up. But look at her resume and what she's done in her career at Texas. Overall, you got Tinsley at UCLA. You've seen a plenty of overall. I mean, Robin Herron, Arkansas. He goes Brisky, Alabama. This feels like, do you agree with me? This could be a pitcher-dominated World Series more so than people think. Or?
No. I'm half and half. I still think runs are going to be scored. The proof is in the pudding, in the runs. You've seen it. You've seen the records. Like you saw Nyjah and Caitlin Terry get roughed up against a tough Florida offense. They still found ways to score runs. They do. So I'm not saying that I don't think great pitching is going to come out on the other side, but I just don't think very rarely you're going to get 0-0 ball games, like going down to, a team needing a run in the 7th inning. Do I love that? I do. But I mean, we haven't talked about Tegan Kavan. Like that, Texas to me is a front runner. This is a former national champion from last year. Like, how are we not talking more about Texas and what they've experienced from winning that? And obviously, where they're on a record of losing 7 in a row super regional games, not a great stat line. I mean, but pressure. This is a team that knows how to thrive. They've won a national championship. I think there's less pressure on Reese Atwood because of Sid Stewart's performance. And then I look at Kavan, when her back's up against the wall, I think she was at her best game 3 against Arizona State. And there's just something about that. So for me, it's going to be, can Texas find a way to score some runs? But I'm, like I said about Carlin Pickens, I feel the same way when it comes to Tegan Kavan. When she is in the circle, she's going to give that team a chance. Can they have a solid number 2? Is Citlali Gutierrez going to be able to show up and be that solid number 2 ace? The teams that don't have a solid number 2 have a bigger chance at a 2 in Q.
And I think my best bet for the top 1 and 2 is Nebraska with Jody Fromm, National Player of the Year, and the freshman Alexis Jensen. How big is Jensen's role going to be to get Nebraska not only to survive that powerful Arkansas lineup to close out day 1, but to potentially get them to a national championship?
Yeah, Nebraska, I mean, I'm rooting for Nebraska. I've loved watching them all year long. I kind of feel like they're a dark horse. They play in the Big Ten. We don't watch them enough, right? Like you can watch film on them, but I just think what Jordy Fromm has done this year and her injury, and you take her out of the equation, this is a team that isn't here. I think Alexis Jensen's great, but you take away Jordy, and this is a team that may not be in the position they're in. She is that big of a deal to this program offensively and in the circle. So I love that, but I also love the confidence of the freshman Alexis Jensen. She struts her stuff like it's nobody's business, and you have to have that swagger, that confidence, that I'm going to destroy you mentality. And I love that she has that, and what a mentor she has in Jordy Fromm too. She's getting to learn from someone that has done it at a high level for a long time, has been through the ups, the downs. She said on her, pre-World Series interview today, talking about the pressure that she has felt in the sport, right? And at times it just doesn't feel as big right now. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. That just comes with experience. You know who you are and what you stand for. And so it's going to be cool seeing those two vibe together. Offensively, I loved what I saw against Oklahoma State in the regional. I didn't love what I saw, but that's the beauty of softball. Like Jordy Fromm is literally throwing her best in the month of May. And if that's the case, you're always going to give your team that chance. And the fact that she gets to step into the leadoff spot, and I think she has 19 bombs on the season, 50 ribbies, like she's always going to be able to be that threat no matter what, whether she's pitching or not. And that always gives them that fighting chance.
You've been in this stage and you've been successful on this stage. What do you think about when it comes to being the first? There's multiple teams that could be their first time as national champions for their program.
Yeah. I came and experienced my first Women's College World Series, but it wasn't our program's first. Like that is a different, right? Like you saw the emotion from Arkansas and Courtney Deifel and the players, like they have been knocking at the damn door for so long and they have been so close. But when you get here, you almost need to forget that piece. Like it's not just, oh, we made it. It's like, okay, now it begins. Like what we've been able to do. I want to say we were talking today throughout the meetings and my buddy Courtney Lyle was like, they pretty much run ruled every single team in the regional and in the super. Like this is a team offensively that knows that they need to make sure that they score runs because that's going to give them the best chance to do damage. And with a DJ Gasso on staff, so I think it's being able to just continue to remember who you are and what you stand for and like your why. Why have you been, continuing to keep knocking at the door for Arkansas? Well, it's because all the people before you wanted this. So I almost need to remember like, man, it's my job to carry on the legacy of this program and why I chose to be a Razorback and what that stands for them. And just remember who the hell you are when you get to go to game day, because the nerves are going to be there on day one for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. The butterflies sometimes feel a little bit nagging and it can feel a little scary for a second because you're like, oh man. But then you just like take a breath and remember it's a game that we all know how to play. It doesn't change because the environment's bigger. Can I just calm myself down and still just remember to play the game that I know how to? So I think for Arkansas, if they can do that and score some runs, they're going to be okay. And we know that they're a team that tends to do that. Are they going up against a very tough staff in Arkansas or in Nebraska? Yes. But the beauty of our game is you can beat anyone on any given day. So you get to see on opening day 4 great games.
Danielle, how would you pitch to this UCLA lineup?
Oh, man, I wouldn't walk Riley Slimp 57 times. I mean, the leadoff has walked 57 times. I couldn't believe that stat line. And then you're passing it to Megan Grant and you're passing it to Jordan Woolry. Like, you know that this is a team that is very patient. I would definitely be looking at their charts of seeing where there's a little bit more blue and trying to expose that if I can. But the crazy thing at times is when you try to convince yourself not to get beat by the best hitters and you want to pitch around them, sometimes that means that we miss. Like when you try to be too fine, a good healthy dose of some changeups, a lot of swagger, and knowing that pitching sometimes makes hitters mess up, right? Like when you think about it, like if you're a 300 or 400 hitter, you're still getting yourself out. So if I can rely on my spots, I can trust my change. Pitchers in this World Series, if you don't have a change, it's going to be tough. And I got to go with that because UCLA knows they got to score a lot of runs. If they go into the losers bracket, they're done. They have one pitcher, right? Like we've seen that. And Taylor Tinsley is the one. We saw Bryn Nally for I think 2 innings against CBU. But besides that, Tinsley's thrown 29 of the 32 postseason innings. So it comes down to being able to score runs for UCLA, but you still need to make sure you try to go and attack hitters. Even though they have the pop, the power, they lead the nation in home runs, they're scary for sure. You still got to go attack them and see what they're made of.
That's the key. Yeah.
And on that point, how important would it be for Alabama with Brisky or Moe, who regardless who they throw against UCLA, to keep those Bruins off the scoreboard and put more pressure on Tinsley to make a mistake and give Alabama's offense a chance to put some runs on the board?
I mean, Brisky's a real deal. Her like numbers in the postseason and all year long. I mean, she's the SEC pitcher of the year. She's having one of the best years that I've ever seen. Her stuff, like 70 miles down with legit down. I'll challenge you all day. I'm not scared that you're going to take me deep on her stuff, especially into a Jordan Woolery. Like I've heard my partner, like Madison Shipman, talks all day about Brisky's like, movement towards the inside part of the plate to those right-handed hitters. Like it is like almost feels unhittable. So do I like a down ball pitcher against a UCLA team? I do, because this is a team that's used to playing in a 190 ballpark that likes to elevate and celebrate all day. So if I can go down, and I hope that I have a blue behind the dish that can give me something, because we know the strike zone has been like P-like. If I can get some strikes with a down ball pitcher, I feel good about it with Brisky, because she's literally like cut her walks, 80% from last year. She knows she can get hitters out with thrown strikes. So if I'm UCLA, I definitely want to swing early, but her stuff is tough. And then, you can't deny the fact that their Alabama's offense is so good, right? Like top through bottom, they got the pop, the power, the speed, the confidence. To me right now, I know Texas, I said was a front runner, but I put Bam up there as a team that I could see making it to the champ series.
Last question for you, Danielle, before we let you go. You mentioned it, and it's been a big topic of conversation, the strike zone, and pitchers being asked to be almost perfect.
Hey, I'm going to go right back. We're trying to find that strike zone. Tell Jenny, so y'all go right ahead. I'm going to try and find that strike zone.
Exactly. That's exactly right. What advice would you give, though, to these pitchers competing at the highest level, going up against the best hitters?
They're doing a great job. They are. Like I've seen some of these pitchers and they are not showing emotion. They're grinding through. Their catchers are working for them. Keep doing that, right? Like you can't make it any bigger than it is. That's my job. I can sit there all day and I can complain and I can tell you that this isn't fair to them, because it's not. But in the moment, the umpire is not going to change. It's going to be the same thing for the other team. So how can I find a way to get my catcher to convince me that they're going to work that pitch for me and they're going to get it for a strike? And then can I just continue to keep throwing my game? Because we know what it is. It hasn't changed. It's been like that, right? And that, I think, at times is why all the numbers are maybe a little bit more inflated, because it has been a smidge smaller. But you can't change who you are. And sometimes the frustration can be there, but then you need to turn around and look where you're at. Like you made it to the Women's College World Series. Like all these people are here. Like, and the beauty of this setting is I feel like every single year it's like a new hero or a new moment where it like takes us all by storm and we sit there and we're like, oh, damn, like that just happened. Like the Megan Grant home run off Carlin Pickens last year with the Appendix G in that moment, or Texas Tech stealing home, or the Reese Atwood intentional walk where that series could have went completely different. If Reese Atwood, Texas Tech could have won that game, could have been completely different, but those little moments I feel like are the things that make watching the Women's College World Series so special, because it's just one thing and then it's like, oh man, that completely changed the dynamic of the game. And that's what makes this the best time of year for sure.
Oh, what a moment to end on. That was perfectly said right there. And thank you again, Danielle. And yes. I'm excited to see you at the stadium in person here in OKC.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.
Well, I knew that we would get some great nuggets from her, but I just love, and I said it to her, right? Like the authenticity that's always there with her, just not pulling punches, I appreciate it. I know you
if only she shared her opinions more, Jen. If only she just would open up a more, But she's great. No, she's great. I've really gotten a chance to know her the last couple of years at the Big 12 tournament, because she's been calling the championship game with Madison Shipman and Eric Free. And it's interesting, they'll be working the studio role with Courtney Lyle, obviously, who's her broadcast partner. And she just has the passion comes out in her commentary every time she talks, whether it's in the studio role or in the booth. And to me, I've made the comparison. I think she is the softball version of a Charles Barkley, where people want to hear what she has to say. When something goes down, what does Danielle Laurie think? And she delivers more times than not.
Yep. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And we are already ready to bring in our next guest and hear some more takes. And another one who doesn't need an intro, but again, we'll do it anyway. So Kenzie Fowler, who we know we've seen in Oklahoma City as a player. Yes, we've seen her on the broadcast, listened to her, and also we've all had her on our podcasts too. So
I just spent the last weekend. I spent the last weekend with Ellie. She's tired of seeing me now. Like that's impressive. She still wants to come on, even though I'm on here.
Anytime. Anytime.
Well, I feel like I want to start with the hard-hitting stuff, Kenzie. I think I even told you this when I asked you to come on, which is broccoli guy. I mean, let's just start there because you got to experience that at regionals, which is when it started for this Mississippi State team now coming here to the Women's College World Series. You also got to talk with him, you and your partner out there with broccoli, dancing with him. Just what was your experience on the vibes with him and with the team?
I mean, I am a journalism major, and so I love the fact that I can put my journalism major to work and go do the hard-hitting stuff. And, you know, day 3, we were like, okay, this is the day. Credit to my partner, Mike. He went to the grocery store before the game and got broccoli. That was all Mike. I knew that we were going to talk to him if he was there. I tweeted that I was going to be devastated if he wasn't there on Champ Sunday because Friday was like our day of like figuring out, oh, there's a person out there. Is he with someone? What's going on? We didn't notice him until like the 3rd inning of our first game. And then day 2 was the day of like, oh, he's just a softball fan because he stuck it out for a triple header. He's not just attached to one team. So, okay, there's more here. And then day 3 was like, no, we need to go talk to him and we need to get the story. And then, of course, we're on TV. We're like, well, then we need to dance with you so we can use it in a bump. We did. It was really fun when we did dance with him. Both teams were on the field doing their pregame warm-up. And so they were like dancing with us and we were dancing back at them. And so we got a taste of like what it feels like to be broccoli guy. And he could not have been nicer, was just genuinely there for vibes. Like, there wasn't a ton of hard-hitting journalism. I saw that actually, I think it was you guys. You guys wrote an article about him. I have not read it yet. It's on my to-do list. I will definitely read it. But he was just there because he wanted to be. And of course, Mississippi State wins. They celebrate with him. I think it was going to be one of those things with whoever won that regional was like, we're embracing the broccoli guy because he was our regional mascot. Yes. And so I love the fact that he made it to Supers, and I am so excited to see him get his primetime shine at OKC because he deserves it. It's been so fun.
And yes, you're right. Rhiannon Potke, our colleague, did write the article, spoke with him directly more about his story. You're going to love it, Kenzie, but also for anyone else who hasn't seen it yet, D1Softball.com.
Okay. Love my guy, Jim. I named him Broccoli Boy at the very beginning on day 1. And then he followed me on Instagram and I was like, oh no, he already has an established name. It's Broccoli Guy.
Right.
And so I'm excited to see his platform grow. And he told me he has season tickets to the Cascade. And I'll be calling a lot of games in Portland. So let's run it back. We're super excited. Yeah.
Boy.
It's broccoli summer. Not brat summer, broccoli summer.
There you go.
Yeah.
More dance moves. I didn't see dance moves in LA, Kenzie, when I saw you in LA. So that must be exclusive. Exclusivity.
Hey, do you have dance moves to speak of?
I do not. Can't say I do.
Thank you. As you will.
I did not. That's something I didn't need. Kenzie didn't need to see that at all. But I do want to ask you this: Mississippi State. You've seen probably more Mississippi State than anybody that's outside of Starkville as far as covering them. If you could call their game in the regular season, in the regionals, you know Taryn Moat McKinney very well. And I bring that up because I was at Media Day today. Me and Jenna were, and it was fascinating to hear the Mississippi State players and Coach Ricketts allude to Coach T, as they reference her, and leaning on her with her World Series experience. Being around Mississippi State like you were in the regionals, how valuable is that to have somebody like Moat with her pedigree as a player and as a coach here at the World Series to help a program that hasn't been here before?
Yeah, not only has Taryn won a national championship on this stage, but she's also brought 2 different teams to the Women's College World Series. She was here in 2022 with Arizona. And if you think about that Arizona team, didn't really have an established ace in terms of a lot of the field that we see in this World Series. It was Hannah Bowen, she was the veteran, and Devin Netz was a rookie in very early in her career. And Taryn was pushing the right buttons at the right time. And so it's very reminiscent of that. Obviously, Alyssa Faircloth, she's trending towards an All-American. I don't know if she got an award, but I feel like her career is trending that way.
D1Softball All-American.
Period. Deserved. So deserved. One of the best. And then getting, an amazing season out of Peja. Layla was phenomenal and down the stretch in the regular season, giving them some quality innings. And of course, we know the story of Delaney Everett, where it's so funny. I just looked at my notes to send to some friends for this weekend, and I did not have anything on Delaney. It was coming back from injury was my note about Delaney. So that's just so cool about our sport that, especially with pitching, you can just get hot at a right time. And Taryn is known for getting hot at the right time as a pitcher. So it's just so kismet for her storyline to take Mississippi State for the first time and just be like, let me tell you what you're going to expect. This is what it's all about. And I could not be happier for her. I think one thing about Taryn is that she's so calm. If you ever talk to her, nothing phases her. And so that's going to rub off on a young pitching staff who has not seen those bright lights. And they love her, adore her. It's so much fun to just see them interact and watch their bullpens. And it's been a really great story, and I'm cheering for her hard.
And they're going to need that experience from Coach T against Texas Tech, who has just been an offensive slaughterhouse since that historic comeback they had against Ole Miss. What do you want to see from Mississippi State to keep that momentum going and prevent Texas Tech from jumping on them early, given that they're playing that opening game, 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning in Devon Park?
Good at bats from their offense early. I think if you can just allow whoever is in the circle, because we know whoever is in the circle is very talented and good enough to get it done and go the distance, just to allow them to take a breath. I think that was so huge. Game 3 against Oklahoma, just good at bats. Whether you score 3 runs or 1 run or just honestly have a couple of singles, good at bats right off the top. And the way that Mississippi State swung it in regionals, trending up, obviously said double that, we're going to hit even more in supers. So who knows what they're going to do in the Women's College World Series, because they're just getting better every single time they take the field. And we all know we've been waiting for the offense. Is this team going to have enough offensively? And they're doing it down the stretch.
I also have to ask you about Nebraska because your sister played there. So you know that community really well as a family member of an alum too. And Rhonda Revelle has been there forever as well. What has it been like for you all to see just her get back to this stage with this team?
I was having serious FOMO because my whole family was in Lincoln. I was in LA. My mom, my sister, my aunt was there, and of course all of my sister's teammates. So everyone was in Lincoln, and they're sending me texts during the rain delay and everything. And I was like, okay, let me know when you guys are back on. But I've been to Lincoln a lot, and it is a very tight-knit community. And it's kind of interesting for Nebraska softball because I don't know if their fan base has been, I guess, dialed in to the scope of our sport, in a big picture sense, if that makes sense. But they are so dialed in on their Huskers. So I'm really excited to see if they show up this weekend. I really think they will because they just travel well for all of their sports, and what a scene. And could not be happier for Rhonda. Could not be happier for Sipple, Diane Miller. 3 of the most real people in our sport. I can text any of them, and I didn't even play for them, right? So I always call Nebraska my sister-in-law team. But they are the best humans, and anything that you read about them, true, all of it, amazing people. And so you think about where Rhonda has come from, especially, I think it was pre-COVID, there was the investigation. My sister was part of the alumni base that was so vocal of no, this is not right. We know what she is like, take it from us. And so the alumni base was huge for making sure that Rhonda didn't go anywhere. she's didn't go anywhere, taking Nebraska back to the World Series for the first time since my sister played. And I was talking to my sister. She always jokes that Nebraska in 2013 was the first team to ever go 0-3 in the Women's College World Series because if you remember, they played Florida and it was like a 15-inning game. And so they came up short on that game. She always jokes, we were the first team ever to go 0-3. But she has been very vocal about like this team has expectations. That 2013 team there was a surprise team where it was on the road, upsetting a top 5 team at Oregon. Nobody expected them to be there. I remember they didn't have a pennant when they got to OKC for like all of the teams because I don't think that people had penciled them in, and they were like all chip on the shoulder about that. So you flip it to 2026. This team is not 2013. This team has expectations, and I'm trying to see if my sister wants to go out. We're trying to figure it out, but I know that there will be a lot of alumni in OKC to support Nebraska.
So did I hear that correct? That she might come?
I'm going with whatever she wants to do. She's in control. If she wants to go, I will go with her. I will put on my corn cob hat. I think I still have it somewhere in my closet because it's so funny. In 2013, that was my redshirt year. And so I was a little bit freer to travel, and it was weird how it worked out. And I got to go to Oklahoma City and cheer on my sister as a fan. So whatever she wants to do, I will go with her. I was like, I'll split the hotel. We'll figure it out. But I know that there are a lot of alums that will be there for Nebraska. Yeah.
Oh, the Fowler sisters in OKC. Sign me up. I'm down. Like I'll contribute.
I hope it works out.
I'll contribute to the hotel. That's what it takes to get her down here. Well, I'll do what I can do there. Now, you and I were in LA. We saw UCLA beat UCF to get to the World Series here. I asked Danielle this question. I'm going to ask you this question. How do you pitch to UCLA?
And I talked about this on air, and this is where UCF just shot themselves in the foot, was the free passes. Because, and especially UCF, that is an offensive team too. Like if you're hanging around where maybe it's just a 3 spot in the 6th inning, it's like we can swing a couple, we get a free pass, and we can hit a 2-run, 3-run home run, and then we're right back in it. Instead, it was some free passes. I think in the first game there was 9, 6 walks, 3 hit by pitches, and that team, they don't miss 1 through 9. So like they're going to have the big hits. They just can't have those big hits with people on base. And then Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery, I thought UCF did an amazing job pitching to Jordan Woolery. Yes, she had some hits, but there were a couple of times where it was like a jam job and a pop-up, and I was going, okay, that was really good pitch calling. I thought they were a little bit too careful with Megan Grant. Would have liked to see maybe a little bit more challenge there. I mean, easy to say, I'm up there in the booth, not in the circle, pitching to a hitter with 40 home runs. But yeah, free passes and then mix of speeds. And if you don't have a changeup, just say a prayer. Like try and learn one that day, find a pitching coach, because you have to have it against UCLA. You have to have a changeup.
So how important will it be for Brisky to utilize her drop ball? Because Danielle Laurie talked about that previously, to throw low with that velocity and down to keep that ball in the ballpark, to keep UCLA off the scoreboard and give Alabama a chance.
Yeah, and I think that's what UCF tried to do. They have so many pitchers obviously on their staff, and Coach Ball Malone was kind of rolling with those low ball pitchers, the ground ball pitchers. And during some innings, it was working for sure. And then the 3 free passes came, and it was just an uphill battle from there. So down ball, yes, hit your corners. You cannot miss white. You miss white, it's over. And so at this stage, though, like these are all American pitchers. That's what they do. They're going to hit corners and they're going to change speeds. That's why they're at the Women's College World Series. So this is the matchup where it's like, does good pitching still beat good hitting? We're going to find out in this game tomorrow between UCLA and Alabama.
It depends if the strike zone will favor good pitching.
Yeah, we got to have a campaign about the strike zone after this series.
I've looked for the strike zone while Danielle was on. I wasn't able to find it yet. So hopefully I put a message in the chat. If anyone finds it before first pitch tomorrow, please send them to Devon Park. We thank you in advance.
Listen, my thing is, Kenzie, you just go back with Jen on the podcast and talk about it, because you two, I remember you two when you did her podcast, you broke down everything about the illegal pitch and everything, which was phenomenal. I think you two could bring back the strike zone. I'm confident both of you there. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Look, and here's the thing: the strike zone, as it's written in the rule book, is solid, great. Like, it doesn't need to be changed how it's written in the rule book. It needs to be called how it's written in the rule book.
I think that's a really good point. And that was brought up, Rhiannon brought that up actually on our podcast most recently, because that's what it is too. Even prior to this season, there are certain pitches, you think even north to south, like that it might be chest high, technically the top of the zone. They don't get called strikes very often.
So, I mean, if you open it up, it says knee to sternum.
Mm-hmm.
And then a ball can be in the river as long as, I wish I mean, I do have a ball in the other room, but the ball, if the inside of the ball touches the river, it's a strike. So that means the ball in the river is a strike, because the river, the ball pretty much takes up more than half of the river, not the whole thing, but more than half.
Yeah.
So it grinds my gears, I tell you.
Well, and I'll ask you what I asked Danielle too, which is, what advice would you give to these pitchers on the biggest stage going up against the best hitters, knowing that there are some things that might be tough like that?
You know, I think about my first game at the Women's College World Series, and it was not good. Not good. I got called for 15 illegal pitches, and that was back when you would advance. So the runner would get to first, illegal pitch would happen, they would go to second, illegal pitch would happen, they would go to third, and all of a sudden we're getting run ruled in game one. So I've been there when things are not good game one, and it can happen. It can totally happen. Something's a little off. You're not feeling good. You're getting bad calls. Maybe in this case, you're getting squeezed and you're a drop ball pitcher who needs a low zone, or vice versa with a rise ball. Hopefully you have a teammate that you can share with, you know, because if it's not your day, you can pass it off to your teammate. Like that's what it's all about. You shouldn't have to carry everything on your shoulders. And that's where it's going to be a little bit tough for a Taylor Tinsley. There is so much on that girl's shoulders. I mean, she is pitching like it's 2005, you know? So, I hope that she's ready to go. I think she is as mentally tough as you can get. And I think she is going to be fine. Just talking to her a lot this week. And like, she's not a freshman. Like, it's very different versus when I was a freshman and really had to rebound and do some soul searching after game one. But we're going to see a lot of these 1-2 punches. And it's kind of what we saw with Texas Tech and Florida when things weren't going well for Nyjah, and then things weren't going well for Caitlin. You got to have a teammate where you can buddy up and say, okay, you take this part, I'll take that part. Let's give each other a breath and settle in. And then just settling in game one, I think, is the most important thing. How was practice today? Did they get practice off or did it rain?
The first few practices got in. And
Okay.
then as Tennessee was starting to get out on the field, they put the tarp on and they had to make all kinds of adjustments. So I think that some of them moved to the indoor facility to try to get some reps, but, you know, not ideal, of course.
So that's a huge part. If you have not been on the field, you need to be on the field for practice, and you need to go out there, and especially as a pitcher, take some reps on the mound, like live reps, to get those butterflies out and get your feet wet. And so I saw the tarp and I was like, oh man, did they cancel practice? Because if they did, that's huge. And I hate that for the teams that maybe didn't get to practice.
Happy to report, page 94, strike zone. Found it. It's here. I'm gonna try to before the game to hand it over to the umpires, and maybe I'm gonna make copies. I'm gonna do my part, Kenzie, just for you. I'm gonna no guarantees, but I'll try my best.
You know, and I don't know if there's like so much like that we have to do about the strike zone, but there is something that I have been curious about, and I would love to talk to a catcher, because there's a lot of different framing techniques that are out there right now. And I'm really wondering if that is throwing some umpires. Because, you know, I hate to say it, like back in my day, both knees were up. I was a rise ball pitcher, so I needed my catcher to be up a little bit. Stacey Chambers was 6'1", so like she could just sit up a little bit and just catch it where I threw it, and it looked like a strike because of her frame. But we're seeing so many catchers get like really low and spread out, and one knee is down. And part of me is going, okay, but now are you moving the strike zone out of the strike zone? And I know a lot of it is to get underneath the drop ball and frame it up, but at some point, like your body sells the pitch so much. So I don't know if that's something that we need to start looking at, but just from watching this whole season, there was a lot of different techniques for catchers and a lot of different knee downs. And I'm going, does it match up with your pitcher? If it does, fine. But if it doesn't, like I'm a rise ball pitcher. I don't need my catcher with the knee down. I need my catcher up. So I don't know, just something to keep in mind. And I'm always thinking about weird things with our sport and what we can do to make it better. So who knows? Just
in fairness, I have talked to some umpires that have brought up the framing. I do think the framing sometimes can fool and determine strike ball calls there as a whole. I want to ask you. You mentioned being here the first time. Arkansas, you called their super regional last year where they had that heartbreaking loss to Ole Miss, and you spent time with Coach Steifel and their players. They still have some of the core players on that team here. They got over the hump here. What's your thoughts on them now that they got over the hump here and they're playing for the first time here in this stage?
I hope that they're not. I mean, I know this, that they're not, but like want more. Right. Don't be just happy just being here and being the new kid on the block, because that's a very talented team, a team that can make a run. I mean, all of these teams are incredibly talented and they have, whether it's pitching or hitting or defense, Arkansas has all three. But I just, for that program to have that, be off of their shoulders, getting it done. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Just elated for them. And I think that you'll see it through their play, how free they are, and maybe, through the coaching staff, like just how joyful they are to be there. And, there's something to be said about playing when there's no expectations. That's when you can really do some fun things. So I think with Mississippi State and with Arkansas, that kind of is a, little chip in the good shoulder. Like, let's take that. Let's use it as motivation. Nobody expects us to win it because we're just happy to be here. Well, no, we're not just happy to be here. We want more. We want to win. So I cannot wait for that Arkansas-Nebraska game. I'm a little bummed we have to wait all day for it. But, hey, I'm on the West Coast. It favors me. We'll be enjoying it. It's going to be great.
It gives you more time to come, too, if you want to come here for that game.
You got to take it up with my sister. She's the one.
Yeah,
you got to tweet my sister. Put some pressure on her.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
I'll work on it.
Well, I know one game you'll be brought up and early for will be Tegan Gavon versus Carlin Pickens with Texas versus Tennessee. As a pitcher, what would it be like for you to watch two of the best arms in the game go at it just like they did last year in Oklahoma City?
I know. I can't believe that Tegan's not a senior. That throws me every time. I'm like, I'm like, literally, I was like, what team is she playing for this summer with the AUSL? Looked it up. Just a junior.
Yeah,
like, come on. She's going to be the face of our sport next year. So cool. And honestly, you think about her experience was the MVP. And I feel like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a lot of talk about Texas and there's not a lot of talk about Bama, and they're the 1-2 seeds.
Yeah, that's correct.
A little scary there. And I think if you ask either team, they may say, that's just fine. That's just fine. Don't talk about us. Talk about all the fun other storylines and, the teams that are here for the first time, or the team that got here in dramatic fashion. But sign me up for Carlin and Tegan, man. I cannot wait to watch, obviously, Carlin this summer with the AUSL. And I think she'll be a huge part in expanding our sport and growing our sport. And then Tegan is right there behind her. So, and it's so cool because as a pitcher, they do it in such different ways. It's kind of like a Monica Kat Osterman situation. And it's funny because they are actually from those exact same schools, and you have a flamethrower and then you have a spinner. Not to say that Tegan throws slow. The girlfriend brings it. But when you're comparing yourself to Carlin, it's like, okay, well, everybody throws slow compared to Carlin. So yeah, sign me up for that. I think it'll be so good for young kids to watch all of our pitchers that are in the Women's College World Series doing it in different ways and just competing. They're both just competitors, and you can't ask for more than that.
Last one for you, Kenzie, is obviously taking a look at a throwback here to just your time in the circle playing. This was in 2010 for the World Series.
They would have called that an illegal pitch.
I feel like I see toe down. No,
I see toe on the clay. I see toe on clay.
I don't know. The umpires didn't, so
I know.
Okay.
And now it doesn't matter. But
it's okay. I can laugh at it now.
Now
we're healed. We're healed.
But, you know, when you just think back to you as a player, and then now you've been able to tell stories for so many years now as a broadcaster too, just the growth of our sport and the Women's College World Series overall, what has that meant to you?
So special to be a part of like the media side. I was telling my husband the other day, I was like, I feel like I'm morphing into, like, I'm losing the player and I'm morphing more into a broadcaster because it's been so many years since I played. Obviously you're always going to look and feel the game as a player, but it's just like, I haven't played in a long time, and that's sobering. So it's been really fun to see in that span of time since I've graduated, just the rocket ship that is our sport. And I think we don't talk about enough the fact that every pitch is streamed for regionals. It is a huge undertaking for our ESPN team to put that on. It costs so much money. But if we don't have that, we don't get the storylines that we can really build on. And then the storylines, you know, I was having people in the office today that may not be everyday softball fans, and they're coming up to my office going, so tell me about this Florida Texas Tech series. I need to know more. I'm going, okay, so it's getting on your algorithm. This is good for our sport. This is good for our sport. And let me tell you, let me break it down. So I think that things like that, the storylines, when we can make that main page of someone's algorithm or be on Sports Center like Delaney Everett was yesterday, would not have happened in 2010. Like, we just weren't there. So the stands are going to be packed. The stands have grown since I played. Double decker, fire me up. The next thing that I would love for our sport, because we have the visibility, check. We have the talent, check. Pro league, we're going. I would love some stadiums to be built. I will leave it at that. I would love some more stadiums to be built because it's time. We need some softball stadiums around the country. Obviously, I love OKC.
Yes.
But we need some stadiums around the country. And that's what's next for our sport.
I agree. Could not agree more. And also had friends who never would have reached out about softball, finding some of that in the algorithm too. So I'm with you on that one. Yeah. And earlier when you were saying, you know, back in my day, I didn't blink twice, Kenzie, because that was my day too.
Yes.
Pretty sure you probably struck me out at some point. You know, that just is what it is.
Hey, Jen, how many bats did you have against Kenzie there? How did you?
I don't know. I would have to go back and look. But honestly, Kenzie and Danielle faced them both, probably struck out against them both. So glad to have you both on.
You probably got a hit. Let's be honest. Like,
I don't know.
we could call it truth.
Let's probably have to research people named the Andersons to look that up for y'all.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll work on it. But thank you, Kenzie, as always, for joining us and joining this group. You are a friend of the show, as we always say, but also just a great ambassador of our sport.
Well, thanks for having me anytime. We want to talk strike zones and stadiums. We can do it this summer. I'm just kidding. And we'll be calling some AUSL, so you can tune in this summer. We're locked and loaded, ready to go. Opening day, June 9th. So just a little promo there for my league. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Gonna have some of the players that'll be in there as rookies playing at the World Series.
Yep.
Keep it going.
Yep.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks,
Kenzie. The best. I mean, just the insight that they both brought on all the different teams, because to me, I don't know about you guys, but some of the most fascinating matchups are day one. Like, some of these matchups in the World Series are very, very interesting to me just right off the bat. Yeah. We talked about all of them, of course. But yeah, game 1 through game 4, really, really curious to see what happens.
I think it's the most stacked day one. I mean, talking to people in the state of it, that's the deal. I mean, even Mississippi State, Texas Tech, those two are very familiar with each other. Mississippi State was in the regionals in Lubbock last year. They've played in Clearwater, so there's a familiarity, even though you wouldn't think of that with Mississippi State and Texas Tech. How does Mississippi State's pitching staff handle the Texas Tech lineup? And certainly Samantha Ricketts has mentioned she knows Nyjah very well. She goes back to when Mississippi State played in the Palo Alto regionals when Nyjah was at Stanford the year before that, which is kind of wild to think about with that. Then you got Texas and Tennessee, which Jenna, last year you were here. There was a semifinal matchup there when Texas moved on to play for the national championship. And then you've got Arkansas and Nebraska, which I think is going to be an electric atmosphere from what people are telling me. Both sides have sold a lot of tickets. Rhonda Revelle and Courtney Teifel, good friends. I think that's going to be a pretty cool atmosphere with those two teams who haven't been here in a while. You got Jordy Fromm back in this stage after, a couple of years after what she did at Oklahoma back then. And, UCLA and Alabama. Hello. This is a strong tournament where, like I said, I can't remember going into a World Series like this where you're really struggling to find a prohibitive favorite.
There really isn't one. And that's what makes this tournament probably the most exciting Women's College World Series that I can remember since we started this podcast, where you can make a case for all 8 teams making a significant run. And you can also see if someone went 2-Q, you can understand why that happened. This is going to be the most fascinating day one that we've ever had. And what happens on day one will have ramifications with the elimination games on Friday and those 2 winners bracket games on Saturday and Sunday on ESPN, on ABC and ESPN2. It's just going to be a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. And we can't wait to share it all with you on D1Softball.com.
That's absolutely right. And if we're looking at the bracket again, too, you mentioned, of course, we have the top half. We talked about it, Tech and State, and then Tennessee and Texas. And then on the bottom part of the bracket, Alabama, UCLA with Arkansas, Nebraska. The thing to remember here, too, is you alluded to it just now, Victor. So day one, everyone's playing. That's Thursday. Friday, it's going to be the losers bracket playing. So they'll play back-to-back days. The winners bracket gets a break. So Saturday, they will play. And that's the winners bracket will come out of there. That's when it starts to get interesting, because after that, on Sunday is when the bracket can cross over. So that's when we're going to switch sides for people who are able to survive and basically be in the quarterfinals at that point. That's when they're going to switch. And then from there, it's who gets to the semifinals and, of course, the champ series from that. So this is how the bracket starts. And that's why we keep talking about it, because the starting point is very important. But knowing that as well, depending on who might come through the losers bracket, et cetera, there could be some crossover too.
I think the other part, Jenna, that we I'm noticing now is I like that both brackets are having the same start times where you don't really have to adjust your schedule and you lose time to prepare or you gain extra time to prepare. Obviously, if you win, you get an extra day. But I like the fact that the brackets are starting around those similar time frames, especially with those if necessary games on Monday with 12 and 2:30 if the if necessary, and then 7 and 9:30 for the if necessary. I like how everything is on that same timeline in both of those brackets, and then we got the champ series on that Wednesday, Thursday, and potentially Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some of you also participated on D1Softball.com in our bracket challenge, which has been awesome. Let us know, how are you doing? How's the bracket challenge going? How are you feeling about it? All of those things, because also we are tracking who's in front. So see where you stand as it continues in the Women's College World Series. It's presented by our friends at Chinook Seedery. So you can visit bracket-challenge.d1softball.com to see where exactly your bracket ranks. So we'll give a little shout out right now to what the leaderboard looks like. Bree Ellis Fan Club president right now in the lead. So shout out to Arkansas for having a Razorback fan leading the way so far. We'll see how it pans out.
Got Carolina Blaze in a tie for second. You got Courtney Nieves in a tie for ninth. I'm very fascinated to see, because it's always gonna come down to who do they have in the championship series. That usually dictates who jumps into that top spot, because there could be someone outside of the top 10, and let's say they have a Nebraska versus Texas national championship series. They could be from 25 and 30th and shoot themselves all the way up to that top 10. And remember, if you're the grand prize winner, you get a year subscription to D1Softball. Think about that. That means you get access to all of our great articles. You get access to the transfer tracker, get access to the coaching carousel, and access to Mr. Lopez's bracketology, who he went 64 for 64 again. He got 31 and 32 national seeds. Okay, I need not say anything else.
It's true. He did it again. So yes, you can get that. You'll get some of the seeds too from Chinook, and they have multiple flavors that are honestly delicious. I had a sample pack. It was great.
Hey, Chinook, can you send us a box of that, please? And thank you.
Yeah, I mean, can we get some in OKC? Yeah, right now. That would be nice.
Hook them up.
Yes. And we talk a lot about what ESPN has done in terms of the exposure and everything, as we should, but also other ways to listen into, like if you're on the road or something this weekend, there's plenty of ways that you can listen into what's going on. So if you're on the road and on the go and you want to stay connected to live college sports anywhere in the country, reminder, you can download the free Varsity Network app that is available on Apple and Android. And with new features this season, it's easier than ever to listen live and keep up with your favorite teams and podcasts. So don't miss a moment. Get the Varsity Network app now, and you can hear some of the radio voices, for example, that you all, Victor and Eric, have had sometimes on the podcast as well, and get to hear their take on everything going on the field.
Just like Nate Rohr from Nebraska, who we had on the podcast. You can listen to his call of Nebraska and Arkansas to cap off your Thursday night on the Varsity Network. And, of course, download the Varsity Network app. You can download In Circle. You can download the D1Softball podcast. All on the Varsity Network app. It's all right there for your listening pleasure.
And I will say, I've called games on radio through the Varsity Network app, and I've listened in. Like it's just great all around to utilize. And there are lots of great voices that are on there as well, in addition to everything that we get from ESPN. And then we do have a treat for those who are still with us too, a code for you to subscribe and save.
Yes.
If you don't make it into that top tier in the bracket challenge and you don't get the free stuff from D1Softball.com, you can use WCWS 26 to save 25% on all D1 Softball subscriptions. So again, WCWS 26 to save 25%. Always got to let you guys know.
Use the code, people, as we like to say on the podcast.
Use the code. That's what we're here for. Well, we dug into every team and the matchups, especially that we're going to see early on, especially day one here at the Women's College World Series. You guys always try to force me to make picks, which I always feel put on the spot.
No, Eric tries to force you to make picks, not me. Eric does.
Hey, listen, I'm excited because for the first time all year, I found the strike zone. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling optimistic right now.
As I said, Eric, if we can deliver that to the umpires before first pitch at 11 a.m. local time for you tomorrow, we would really appreciate that.
There's some security, but what are you?
Yep. Got my copy as well.
Yeah.
I think mine might have gotten lost in the mail, so I'll be looking for that after the show comes to a close.
Well, with that being said,
I always download it too.
You could. It's true. I will ask, instead of forcing you to make picks, unless you want to, but I would just say, who do you think might surprise people at the World Series this year? That'll be our closer.
Well, first of all, I want to count. I feel I won the staff picks for the year. I want to count. I want Riley to our genius behind the scenes calculate the numbers afterwards. I think I won, but we can verify that down the road. I think Arkansas, and this might sound strange to pick them, but I feel like people are like, oh yeah, Arkansas's here for the first time. That roster is a national title contender now. And I think the question is, can they just, the whole, well, we're here for the first time stuff, does that go away quickly for them? I think they can make some noise here. I think they could be kind of like, remember last year, Texas Tech, you didn't know what to expect, first time World Series and all that. They get all the way to the Champ Series. Would not surprise me if Arkansas is that version this year where nobody talks about them. Everybody's going to talk Alabama, rightfully so, Texas Tech, Nebraska, even with Jordy, but no one's really bringing up Arkansas. With that roster and that offense, led by a Gasso, by the way, the one Gasso that is here, DJ Gasso, the hitting coach for Arkansas, they're rolling. Watch out for them.
I think for me, everyone assumes that it's going to be Texas Tech in Texas playing Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. on ABC. If Mississippi State has a similar blueprint to what they did with Oklahoma, jump out on them early. All the pressure is going to be on Texas Tech. All the expectations are on Texas Tech, especially after the drama they dealt with in Gainesville on that Super Regional. If Texas Tech is in a close game versus Mississippi State late, don't be surprised if the Bulldogs pull one out and put Texas Tech playing for their season on Friday night.
The only unseeded team here in the field for the 8 teams at the Women's College World Series, and Arkansas was the number 5 seed overall. I do want to point out, so in terms of, if you look at just high-level stats, batting average, ERA, fielding percentage, let's say, for these squads, UCLA, unsurprisingly, leads in batting average, 385 as a team. That's why Eric was asking both Danielle and Kenzie, how do you pitch to these guys? Tennessee, unsurprisingly as well, best ERA, 1.35 as a staff. Now, there are a couple others who are sub 2. That includes Alabama at 1.48, Nebraska at 1.81. So those are sort of the strongest in the circle by the numbers, if you will. And then 983 fielding percentage for Mississippi State leads the way from that side of things. So, Victor, that's what kind of triggered this for me is, that's going to be incredibly important. I think we obviously talk about the hitting, we talk about the pitching execution, but sometimes it's who's going to make the mistake first, especially on a big stage, where that can kind of make things derail and shift the game one direction or another. So keeping that in mind as well as we take a look at the rest of this Women's College World Series. Definitely.
And also, how does the team capitalize on that first mistake? Because if your opponent has a costly error, and instead of having first and second, you have second and third, and they don't capitalize and they don't get any runs on the scoreboard, you minimize the damage. It's what happens after your opponent makes that mistake. Can they get that crooked number to put the pressure on you? Because mistakes, especially in game 1, are magnified tenfold if they can capitalize on those errors.
And to help your pitching staff, yeah. I mean, so UCLA has the highest ERA as a group, 4.32, but the highest batting average, right? So the numbers kind of tell some of the stories as well here, whereas, Tennessee has the second lowest batting average at 288, but the best ERA, right? Some of these things are really interesting because all of the other teams in the World Series have an ERA of 2.52 or lower, except for UCLA. 2.52 is Arkansas. But outside of that, really been solid in the circle, but you have to help them out. That means no free passes for them too, for the pitchers, right. But you have to help them out defensively.
I would point out the UCLA pitching ERAs is you kind of have to put it in context. We're going to see a Taylor Tinsley,
yes,
not the other pitchers that much. We wouldn't think so.
And I think, Gary, that's why I think of the 8 teams playing tomorrow, UCLA is under the most pressure to stay in the winners bracket, to keep Tinsley as fresh as possible, give her some extra rest, because if you lose to Alabama, you're going to ask Tinsley to turn around and pitch at 7 o'clock Friday night, Eastern time, 4 o'clock Pacific time, with your season on the line against potentially either a Alexis Jensen or a Robin Herron. That's gonna be a tough ask. I know UCLA can slug with the best of them, but does Tinsley have enough juice in that arm to get them through out of the losers bracket if they fall to Bama tomorrow night?
What she does have, though, is experience pitching here, which neither Arkansas does. None of the pitchers have. Jordy has pitched here, but that was back when she was at Oklahoma. Jensen hasn't pitched here. So, Jenna, I mean, that's also something to watch. Like, who can handle the stage? That's why, again, Texas, Tegan Cavan, she's been there, done that. Could be very important here to watch Pickens has been here. There's experience. How does Brisky, as the ace, I know she's pitched here before a couple of years back, but she's a different pitcher, but it's easy. How does she handle the bright lights here against that UCLA lineup? Those are some of the things to watch as you watch closely here on Thursday and then into the rest of the weekend.
Two teams with their first Women's College World Series appearances in program history. Then you have UCLA, who's got their nation-leading 34th World Series appearance. You got people who have won national championships before, like the Bruins, but also Texas, Alabama. It's been a while, but they won the first for the SEC back in 2012. And then you got teams like Tennessee and Texas Tech who are back here again after being here last year. So many different directions that this could go. But thank you all for joining us for this preview. We are super excited to be with you, covering everything the rest of the way in Oklahoma City, and excited to see the mayhem continue.
Good night, Canada.